Good evening. Welcome to the Chabad at UB 50th year Jubilee Anniversary Celebration. We are so delighted that you are joining us tonight as we pay tribute to 50 years of dedication to thousands of UB students whose lives were forever impacted through their interaction with Chabad at UB. The theme of tonight's program is Shaping the Future, One Soul at a Time. Tonight, you will hear several inspirational stories of UB alumni, spanning from Chabad's beginning days here in the early 70s up until 2021. These lives were impacted by Chabad in a way that changed the future forever. Chabad at UB, one of the first Chabad houses in the world, was founded by Rabbi Nosson and Miriam Garari in 1971 under the direction of the Chabad Lubavitch Rebbe. The Rebbe sent the Garari family to Buffalo to engage and inspire Jewish college students at UB. Today, there are over 3,500 Chabad centers throughout the world, transforming Chabad into a household Jewish name. Chabad at UB is proud to be one of the pioneer Chabad houses. One soul at a time was the Garari's motto, and thank God today, thousands of UB students, many of them now parents and grandparents, can trace their life stories back to their days at Chabad at UB. Before we begin tonight's program and introduce the first speaker, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Shelly Finberg. I graduated UB recently in 2020 and am now studying nursing at Drexel University in Philadelphia. I was tremendously affected by Chabad while at UB, and it is with the greatest pleasure that I am emceeing this event tonight. I would now like to introduce Rabbi Nosson Garari, founder of Chabad at UB, to share with us opening remarks about tonight's Jubilee celebration, as well as his vision when he first started Chabad at UB.
A hearty Mazel Tov. We are celebrating the Jubilee year, 50 years of working with the young students on campus. We started on a very difficult situation on a very small scale, and Chabad House grew and expanded not only on the campuses of Buffalo, but we also expanded and opening up Chabad houses in Rochester, in Syracuse, in Binghamton, in Cornell. Thousands and thousands of Jewish students returned to their roots in the most loving way. Even the students who didn't even identify as Jews, you would say they're agnostics, indifferent, even those Jews who are deeply affected by Chabad House. There are stories and stories of students who, when I would ask them if they were Jewish, and they answered no, although they were. And just that contact, it bothered them later. How did they say no? And they also became more and more interested in their religion. So we affected people who didn't even want to know from us. I make this joke many times when we had a table in the union. There are students who wanted to go as far away from our table. They walked into the wall. They bumped their heads into the wall. I don't want to know nothing from these guys. Guess what? They came back and they were affected. And now we have thousands of students who are their whole lives changed, their family, their children. We even have Chabad House has grandchildren children of our alumni that are leading Chabad houses in other places. This is the philosophy of the Rebbe, philosophy of the whole Chabad organization. Every Jew possesses the same neshama. We have everything in common. Just a question, how many layers is covering up on our soul? But deep down, we all are the same. So Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov. Hashem should bless us to give us the strength to keep continuing doing this work, of course, to reach the next Jubilee. But we hope and pray imminently that Mashiach will come and we will able to unite with all the families that we have touched that are now spread out throughout the world. Mazel Tov.
Thank you, Rabbi Gurari. You might be wondering, why is this young woman here today? Why is she emceeing this event? How did Chabad affect her life? Well, let me share my story with you. I remember we were walking across this bridge and I was like, this is so interesting. What is this house? Who are these people?
I remember you coming into Chabad as the first time. And just as soon as you come in, I was like, this is my girl.
I never understood what Chabad was and what your mission was. When you went out of your way to do so many things for me, it kind of clicked. When I was 12, I moved to the United States, moved to Brooklyn, and my family and I went to Rosh Hashanah to some service for Rosh Hashanah. And we get in and they tell us, are you members? We're like, members. We just never ended up going back to any synagogue again. And so ever since then, I've been brushing my Judaism under the rug. I had like kind of an identity crisis. It went, I'm Russian, I'm Jewish, I'm Israeli, and I had to kind of rank it. And it went from Israeli, Russian, and Jewish was at the very bottom. 2 weeks into college, I spike a fever, and it's not going away. And you texted me, are you coming? I said, I have a fever. And the first thing you said was, I'm on my way, I'm bringing a chicken soup.
I remember coming to your room and just bringing that soup and the chal because I feel like, when students come here and everyone is very vulnerable. They don't know anyone from right and left. It's a new atmosphere, a new place. And they don't really have that home, that home here. So I just want to make sure that you get that feeling.
It meant everything. I mean, I'm used to my mom being so on top of me, and for her to send me away was the hardest thing she's ever done, I think, because her baby wasn't there, her firstborn wasn't there. And so it meant everything to her, to me, that I had a Jewish mother in my life, even when I wasn't directly at home.
You were the ball of energy that rolled into Chabad House. And every day that you were there, every week or every class, you were like the pumping heart, the energy that was giving to everybody. And when you left, there was a hole that was left. We miss you every day, and that's what it is. And there is no replacement to anybody. Every person that leaves, there is no replacement.
And it really, really, really changed my life. I wouldn't be the same person without you. And now, I would like to share with you a report from the ground. Unlike many other synagogues and Jewish institutions, a large part of Chabad's activities are actually not at the Chabad Center, but rather the Chabad rabbis and rebbitzins engage the students on their turf. These engagements include welcoming the freshmen in their dorm room with fresh home-baked challah and chocolate, visiting their homes to put on tefillin, Hanukkah and Purim visits with menorahs, latkes, and hamantashen, and of course, sick visits with hot matzo ball chicken soup. Interactions, of course, are not just limited to Jewish themes, as the rabbi and rebbitzin are famous for their warmth and care. Many times, the most meaningful interactions are when they stop by for a simple chat. Let's get a sneak peek of Chabad in action.
I try to visit students at their homes, apartments, try to do it at least once a week. Those that I don't see on campus, I try to visit them off campus.
I'm from Washington, D.C. I am a graduate student in computer science. I think I was staring at the sign because I knew what Chabad was, and I was thinking about going, and he saw me looking, and he was like, "Hey, are you Jewish? Do you want to learn more about Chabad?" And that's how it all started. I went to Hebrew school twice a week from about when I was 4 until I got my bar mitzvah, and then not much from then until Chabad. But I'm happy to start picking it up again. It's been a very big blessing in my life, I think, to have somewhere to go every Friday and have a community to be a part of.
I believe that every mitzvah kindles the spark of a Jew, of the Jewish soul. And even one mitzvah, like our sages tell us, one mitzvah leads to another mitzvah. And I've seen that many times that once someone does one mitzvah, they're already comfortable doing another mitzvah, and it brings them closer to, and they feel more comfortable doing more and more mitzvahs. So every Jew has that spark, the Jewish spark, and the mitzvah is what ignites it and brings it out.
Is there going to be Friday night Shabbat dinner this week?
Yes, God willing, there should be Shabbat dinner, and you'll enjoy a great time.
I promised that you would get to see firsthand stories of real-life people whose lives were changed forever. I'm going to make good on that promise, so get ready to hear the fascinating life journey of one of the first students at Chabad in the early 70s. Mrs. Malka Werdy now serves as the Rebbitzin of Chabad at the Fashion Institute of Technology, known as FIT, in New York City.
I grew up in Plainview, Long Island as a typical American Jewish girl. I always knew I was Jewish. I had good grades in school, I had lots of friends, but in the course of growing up, I never really thought deeply about life itself. My mother never spoke to us, it was myself and my sister, about God, a soul. And my friends weren't involved in deep philosophy or spirituality at that point in time. But that was to change. It was the Vietnam War, and we young children decided we wanted to give peace a chance. And there were peace moratoriums and there were student demonstrations. A young man who was on a college campus in Kent State University, Ohio, was killed by an executive order that the National Guard should shoot into the crowd. And I started questioning for the first time in life, what is life all about? So I decided that summer in 1970 I would go see the world. I had never left New York as a child, and now I met a friend. We both wanted to go out to California because we heard California is where things are happening. But I saw very, very hip, cool, long-haired dungarees, bell-bottom dungarees, kids out in California, and they seemed to really know something I didn't know. So what was it that they knew? They had gotten hold of this Eastern philosophy that had come over.
Crimson sunsets and golden dawn.
And then I decided, America's too small, Western civilization is too ignorant. I'm going to see the world. Before I left the journey, I wrote on my bedroom wall a little goodbye. Goodbye to material security, to childhood innocence, to my hometown, to the games I once thought I had to play, to hate, competition, and jealousy, to the rich, the greedy, the ignorant, to clothes, hair curlers, and TV dinners, to fear and anxiety, to repetition and boredom, to middle-class American suburbia. New Delhi was, little to my knowledge, New Delhi was colonized by the British, so it had this whole British tea houses and department stores. It was much, much different than I expected. So of course, again, I word of mouth, where should I go? I'm looking for a spiritual experience. I want to learn Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, Zen, all these isms that came out of that whole movement. So where should I go? So word of mouth was, hey, go to the Himalayas, go to Nepal. If you want to get high, go to the higher places in the world. So of course I decided I'm going to the Himalayas. I'm going to Rishikesh. Rishikesh is a town on the banks of the Ganges River, which was considered a holy river in Hinduism. If you dipped in it, you were purified or whatever it did to you. The cows were considered sacred in Hinduism, and therefore there were cows roaming the streets and roaming into the Ganges rivers. And this was the scene that awaited me after I took a very, very long train ride from New Delhi to the Himalayas. At a certain point, I got homesick. I had an epiphany in the foothills of the Himalayas that I missed my mother, I missed my home and my family. If I was meant to be a Hindu or a Buddhist, I would have been born in India or in the East, in Asia. But I wasn't. It became very, very potent to me at that moment in my life that I was born a Jew, and it must be significant that I was born a Jew. I reinstated myself quite miraculously into the fall semester of the very next year, 1971. So I see on the religious studies, Indian mysticism. Well, of course, I'd been to India, Hinduism. I'll take that class, that sounds good. And then I see, oh, Jewish mysticism. And I sit myself before a man that looks very strange to me, with a black hat, a black beard, black suit, and he started to teach me Judaism 101. And I was floored. And then I saw him live the lifestyle he was starting to talk about. I had never met anybody like that. I had never met a Hasidic person in my entire life, even though I only live like 45, 50 minutes from Brooklyn. I remember going to Simchas Torah. I come into the Chabad house and I see that the boys had put Rabbi Gurari to the ceiling. He was on the ceiling and he's going, I don't know what he was saying, but it was a scene that's etched into my mind. I had never seen such joy. Judaism, I always took as something very serious. I found what I was looking for in my backyard. But I just happened to be in my backyard at the right time in the right place, because the Rebbe had sent Rabbi Gurari there, and had he not, I might have had a completely different experience at Buffalo University. So I was very lucky to come back to Buffalo and be able to have the opportunity to meet Rabbi Gurari. Had I not, I have absolutely no idea where I would be in this world today. Why is the most important thing in life the hardest to find? Something so basic like, why are we and where are we going? I try to enjoy my life for the moment. I occupy my time with amusement so as to forget the deep pain within my heart. But my soul cries out in despair. My world collapses and becomes a nothingness. And in my moment of doubt, I hear the eternal throbbing of my heart.
Rebbetzin Miriam Gurari co-founded the Chabad House with Rabbi Nosson Gurari and stood at its helm for close to 36 years until she tragically passed away from an illness at age of 55. I would like to pay a special tribute to this special woman by introducing a very special couple, the famed Dr. Laz and his wife Gittel, who had a close relationship with Rebbetzin Gurari from the 70s, to share with us a short glimpse of her life. Dr. Laz will also entertain us with a musical song about his experience at Chabad.
I met Rabbi Gurari first in New York, and he told me about you. I
No,
mean,
see, he's to blame, okay?
and and he brought me. He said, "You come to Buffalo. You'll meet him in Buffalo. That's the best place, and that you'll stay at my house." And I remember going into the house. Miriam, she had this beautiful smile, and she was just like it was almost like she was going to laugh all the time. She had this happiness about her, this smile, and she helped me to get ready to go on dates. I wasn't so familiar with the Hasidic dating or the whole process. I didn't really have very many clothes at the time because I was used to not wearing. I just didn't have much of a wardrobe. So she said, "Don't worry, I wore her clothes." So the clothes you saw me in were partly her clothes, partly my friend Rivka's clothes.
I also borrowed clothes.
And
to go out when we started going out.
And so she was just to welcome me into her house and help me. I think we went out for a week. But I didn't really get to know Miriam as much, of course, in 7 days or 8 days, however long I was there, until we moved back to Buffalo 2 years later. Then we moved into the community. I really got to know her. That's when she really made a very strong impact on my life.
I know you're like an awesome teacher. So you said to me that she's inspired you in teaching.
Yeah, the school was very important to Miriam. It was a beautiful school. She kept it beautiful. And she asked me to teach the 3-year-olds, and I said, I've never taught. I don't really know very much Torah at this point or anything. And she said, "No, you can do it." And so I taught there, and she helped me, not with words so much, but just in as a role model. And that's when I started teaching, and I've loved it ever since. And I'm grateful that I had that start with her. I don't know that I would have done it otherwise. Wow. I never knew that I wanted to be a teacher. I never thought I did until she encouraged me. The school was a special, very home, very like homey kind of school. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you've had a lot of kids who you've taught who we were good friends with, like the Wachtels and the Bronsteins, right? Didn't their kids go there?
Then, yeah.
Yeah.
She gave me like 3 of the most important things in my life, I would say. Miriam as an example for me of because I was just learning about Yiddishkeit. Even when I got married, I was just learning. And she was able to, I was lucky that I had her as a role model. And the fact that she helped me meet my husband, Baruch Hashem.
Yeah, Miriam. We owe the garage for that one, don't we?
And that she gave me this love of teaching and love of Jewish education. That was also a gift from her.
Yeah. Okay. All right. This is a song that I actually wrote years ago, at least the words to. In all fairness, it's a great tune from the band. Now, that is their name, the band. Great tune of theirs that I had to adopt a little bit, change some of the lyrics. I always loved the tune, and it reflects how I first met Rabbi Garari and sort of what that led to. Okay? All right, hope you like the song, and here we go. And if you know it, you can sing along with me, especially on the chorus. I pulled into Buffalo, feeling about 1/2 dead. I just need some place to get some Torah in my head. I said, Rabbi G, can you tell me what's the bracha on the bread? He said, David, come in the Chabad house, put a yarmulke on your head. I take the load of Torah 613. I take the load of Torah and put the load right on me. You can get your hands clapping. So I went in the shore, I put some tefillin on with some desire. You know it don't take long. Yeah, I opened up a Chumash and Gemara and the Sichos too. And now I'm on my way, be a better Jew. I take the load of Torah, a 613. I take the load of Torah and put the load right on me. Well, my old friends, they wonder what's got into me. Doing all them crazy mitzvah things, can you really live happily? But deep in my heart I know, just a little while, be joining me in Hashem's army. We're gonna do it up kosher style. I take the load of Torah, a 613. Take the load of Torah and put the load right on me. All right.
Chabad's close relationship and warm connection with the students doesn't end at their graduation, but rather continues for many decades, long after graduation. I would like to introduce a former student and father, Liz and Jay Sanders, who are still in touch with the Chabad Rabbi and Rebbitzin on a weekly basis, 10 years after Liz graduated.
What surprised me, the Chabad at Buffalo, is how much programming they were able to create for the students at Buffalo. I went to pharmacy school up at SUNY Buffalo. I live in New York City, and being 8 hours away from home, it was, something that was very comforting for me to do on Friday nights when I couldn't be with my family.
We were there to pick her up from school, and actually it was like Friday nights, Shabbos. So Liz invited me to come and meet the rabbi, and when we talked, the thing that first struck me is we were talking about different things, and as Liz, I was kind of interested in Judaism to begin with, and I was studying a bit on my own. But then the rabbi suggested that we study together.
And we've been studying since then, about 10 years now, probably a decade. And we studied Hasidic philosophy, we studied about the Parsha, we learned ethics of our fathers.
When I look back, and this is 11 years ago from today, it was one of the most important relationships in my life.
Maybe 5 years ago or so, I started having weekly calls with Rivka.
When she was here in university, she wanted very much to learn about women. So it started from a class about love and relationships, and then it went on to women from the Torah.
But over time, it has also evolved to just like a friendship. So we talk about our lives, our children, other people we know in the Chabad community. And, I always look forward to chatting with her. And I always feel so elevated and excited when I get off the phone. It's just a nice connection that we've kept on going.
I study philosophy with a different group of friends, and we talk about what's going on in the United States today and how people have become so atomized, so individualistic. It's almost the antithesis of community. When I began to study with Rabbi, it helped me to really suddenly I was no longer this atom floating out there, but I was really became attached to my Judaism, and suddenly I had all these roots, which I never had before. In other words, I was this balloon, and now suddenly attached to this incredible history, an incredible culture and religion. So for me, it's been, very stabilizing, and just, I'm grateful for the experience.
It just increases the familial feel of the experience because we all know each other, we all study together, so it's kind of like an extension of our family, and thrilled that my dad speaks to Rabbi every week, and I speak to the Rabbi, and it just a sense of that community, and it's nice to feel the connection that we all have together. I love it.
It doesn't end when they graduated. It just continues. So if it's the thirst of the wanting to learn, it doesn't, when you walk out the door, the opportunities still go on, because we're there for whoever student that wants to continue to still learn.
And we like to also connect to the parents and to the families of the students. And many families, we are in touch not just with the student that graduated, but with their parents for many, many years later. We look at our relationship with the students as really a lifelong relationships. And of course, the family members are part of this relationship.
It starts here, but it just goes on, forever.
It is no secret, in fact, we're quite proud of it, that many couples have found each other at Chabad, some of whom are now proud parents and grandparents. Let me introduce to you a young couple, David and Rebecca Franco, who found each other in a rather fascinating turn of events at Chabad just a few years ago.
Growing up in Buffalo, your friends, none of them are Jewish. In my high school, there was, maybe 10 of us that were Jewish the whole time. Walking into Chabad was like walking into yourself, right? It was like walking into a place where finally it all made sense. So I started to go, and I started to make friends with the people there, and they were much younger than me, and they were in college, and I had graduated at this point, but they were singing the songs that I was singing at camp. They ate the same foods, they celebrated the same holidays. Here were the Jewish, this is what I needed, this is what I craved the most. It was a Friday morning, and I don't know why, I was exhausted, but something said to me, you gotta go to Chabad for Friday night, for Shabbat. And I'm standing there and I'm praying, and the door opens up, and in walks this girl that I've never seen before.
A few years ago, I went to go visit my cousins in Buffalo at the university. Jeffrey was very, very into Chabad, so he kind of forced us to go. There's a bunch of kids there, which was so nice, and there was just this one guy sitting across the table from us who just didn't look like he fit in.
And I turned to my friend and I hit him, and I said, and he said to me, just keep doing your thing. And that whole night, I did everything I could to be in her line of sight.
Kid is just staring directly at us the entire time. And I'm like, what is his problem? Why is he looking at us?
Her cousin actually was the one who came up to me and said, hey, who are you? And we introduced ourselves, and the moment she walked in, I knew I was gonna marry her.
From that night on, I don't think we stopped texting each other at all until we were in New York.
Every trip, when I came back from overseas, I had spent some time with her there again, and we knew, both of us knew. We whether we said it or not, we both knew that our next step was to get engaged.
It was June or July, and he proposed, and then 3 months later, we got married in Buffalo by Rabbi Garari.
And, Chabad just became a part of our lives. It just became who we were.
We always say thank you to Rivka and Moish for the Chabad house, because if it wasn't for the Chabad house, we wouldn't have met. Now we're married almost 4 years, have twin boys, and we have a long life ahead of us.
None of these wonderful stories would have ever occurred without the support of our generous donors, parents, and alumni. On behalf of Chabad at UB, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you so much for partnering with us on this important mission. May God bless you with much success, good health, and good old Yiddish nachas. Thank you all for joining us tonight. May we all meet in person in Jerusalem with the imminent arrival of Mashiach. Thank you.